to the new world, Creative Commons. Song, picture, video and so on. Share, remix, reuse. It's a new world of Creative Commons. Welcome to the new world, Creative Commons.
Oh, partout, the duck was dancing by the water. Quack, quack, quack. The real man thinking how to quack, quack, quack. He was dancing to the samba, the samba, the samba. Oh, goose. The goose was getting swimming by home, home, home. He thought to give a dance a try. Home, home, home. He was dancing to the samba, the new thing, the new thing.
一つはその商売と著作権という観点から一つちょっと質問があります。ちょっと多分一般的にすぐパッと思いつく考えなんですけれども、例えば著作権を、ある程度制限をつけてるけれどもフリーにするという状況にしたときに、じゃあアーティスト個人はその出してる会社でもいいですし、自身のその利益が損なわれるんではないかという心配をまずみんなすると思うんですね。で現にみんな心配しているので、例えば YouTube にアップした動画を我々の C がコピーライトがあるので消しなさいとかいう圧力をかけるわけですよ。でところが、じゃあ今この新しいそのコモンズっていう考えの中で逆に自分の著作権をフリーにしてみんなで好きに使っていいですよっていうことにしたことによって逆に文化的にも高まったり、そのフリーにしていいですよと言った著作権を持ってる人間自体がすごい利益を得てしまったっていうような面白い事例があったらちょっと聞きたいなというふうに思うんですけれども、どうでしょうか。
Sure. So, and we start with the second part of the question. There's a South African research center which was producing research reports. There's about 150 researchers in 12 different sections. And they had a business model from the beginning of the research center until 2001, where they would write books and publish them and sell those books. So it's a traditional copyright model. In 2001, they radically changed their model. And instead of selling books, they took every single one of their research reports and they made it available free online. Download a PDF for free. And then you had an option to buy a printed version if you wanted. So it was a print on demand if the person wanted, but you didn't have to, you could get it for free. And in 2005, they analyzed the effect on sales that this change had had. And they found that sales of books, remember before everything had to be sold, today is and then afterwards sales were an option. Sales had gone up by 300%. And it's obvious when you think why that is. You know, a South African research center, you're not likely to want to buy a book that's shipped to you without knowing anything about it. So you're very unlikely to buy these books. But once you could get it and get access to it and realize this might be valuable to your research center or your university or your bookstore, then you buy the book. And the point is that the amount of increase that they got by making their books more available outweighed the number of sales they lost because somebody could just download the book for free rather than buying it. Now that example, I think, generalizes across certain types of creative contexts. So scientists and academics and lots of educational material would benefit in this sense from making its works available. I don't believe that it follows that Madonna or whatever the latest artist is, I don't know anything about modern art here, so I can't say anything, but whatever the current cool artist is who everybody knows, I'm not saying that they necessarily would benefit. Probably Madonna needs to sell CDs and restrict people from getting access to the CDs except through paying. That's probably the best way for her to succeed. So the point is not that this Creative Commons model necessarily works for everybody. And I would never stand up and tell an artist that an artist should use the Creative Commons model. All that we say is, here are some tools that you can use and experiment with. And some very successful artists have used these tools and succeeded in using them. So 9 Inch Nails, perfect example. Radiohead did the same thing. The number one sale on Amazon's MP3 downloads last in 2008 was a Creative Commons licensed song. Girl Talk, Rage now in the United States, remix one-man band, makes all of his work available under Creative Commons licenses to invite others to remix his work as well. So these are artists who are experimenting with these licenses because they think it makes sense for them to do it. The only place that I would actually become normative, where I would say they ought to be using licenses, is in the context of science and academics. I think a scientist has a moral obligation, not just to produce great new knowledge, but to produce knowledge in a way that is universally accessible. A recent example, there was a very important study that was demonstrating the harm that video games did to children between a certain age, published in Science magazine. Because I'm a professor at a university, I could get access to this for free. But this information wasn't just important to me. It was important to anybody who has kids, who wants to understand what they should be doing to protect their kids against harmful effects of these videos. But you had to pay $57 to get access to this study if you weren't affiliated with the university. So I think that's just unethical for scientists to publish work in that way. It might have been necessary in the past, but there are enough models of open access publishing in science now to show that it's not necessary anymore, and a scientist should make his or her work available universally, so that not just rich universities in the United States can afford it, but people in Africa can actually learn what malarial treatments might actually help. So that's where I'm normative, scientists and academics. But with artists, I don't say anybody should do anything. We just are building tools that they can experiment to figure out what works best in the digital age. And if they use our tools and it works for them, then of course we're very happy.